Welcome to day 35 of How to Automate Your Law Firm in 90 Days. I am Shay Jackson, your AI automation specialist. We are adding our last sub agent to our legal assistant agent. In this video, I will be demonstrating how I added what you may hear as called a RAG application or a RAG agent, but just in common terms, it means having a knowledge base where instead of, for instance, like with ChatGPT, where you just get general knowledge, let's say, for instance, you add knowledge about your law firm, then you can ask questions, your client can ask questions, and the agent can give relevant information specific to whatever your law firm is, like personal injury, for instance, and also any type of information or details you would want to give based on your particular law firm. Let's dive in. I am on the N8N platform, and here is our legal assistant agent. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to show you here is our legal knowledge base that we will be using as an example. I have already created it, but what I want to do is just do a walkthrough and explain to you how I was able to build this sub agent or this tool. The first thing I want to do is go into my legal assistant agent and just show you that I did add details concerning this tool. It says, and here it is, knowledge base. Let me put legal knowledge base. To access legal case information, use the Legal Knowledge Base tool, which allows users to search, reference, and update case laws, precedents, and legal documentation. Now, for our demonstration, I really don't have a lot of documents in there concerning case law, but one thing that I do want to say is you can add whatever information you would like as part of your law firm's knowledge base that you believe would be beneficial for your legal assistant agent. Okay. And again, I'm using case law as a, for instance, for the demonstration. But again, and you'll see how you can add documentation, whatever type of documentation you want to add that you believe would bring value to your clients, also to your law firm or to your law firm and anyone working in the law firm as well, then you should add it. One thing I do want to make note of is because this is more of a light version, my next video will be building out a more comprehensive RAG application or RAG agent. But for this one, this is more on the light side, just to show you the power of being able to have a knowledge base connected to your legal assistant agent. Let me exit out. Okay, and what I did in order to add this, and let me talk about this area right quick. And here it is, the legal knowledge base. You see, in order to add the knowledge base, you need two things on this side, and then I'll go and I'll explain more about what we created in order to have this tool. Okay. This is the legal knowledge base. What I'm using is called Pinecone. And here I have also here is where my Pinecone account is. There are two things that you would need to do. One, you need to create an API because that is what will help you to connect to the node for the node in N8N. And also, you need to create an index because that is what we are going to reference in our subagent. So let me go back. And here, if you notice, I made the name Legal Knowledge Base. It's Legal Knowledge Base as well. Here, the description is use this tool when asked questions from our own knowledge base and For the Pinecone index, you see I'm doing it from a list, and all it is a drop down. All I have is one index right now. And when I go over to Pinecone, you see this is the index ABC rag agent. Okay. Also, what we need is called embeddings as well. And I will explain all of this more in detail in the next video when we, again, like I mentioned, we're going to create another RAG agent. We need embeddings as well. I am using OpenAI. So now that I've given you an overview of the tool that we're adding or our sub agent, let's go to our legal knowledge base. Now, for when you have a knowledge base, you want to add information, and that's what Pinecone helps us to do. We're adding information that, like for instance, the base case, and let me move this over to. Um, Here is some information that I'm using, dummy information that I found on the internet, not dummy information, an example, sample information that I'm using, that I found on the internet for cases to use as my example. Okay. And so I'm adding this information, and also for this demonstration, I'm going to add this information as well. Well, instead of it, let me see, this is 24 pages, and this one is 20, this is 3 pages, so that's 27 pages. Instead of just uploading, just having that documentation on PDFs, what Pinecone allows us to do in embeddings, it allows us to disperse the information and put it where it's not just the 27 pages. It makes it manageable so that the LLM, the large language model, which we're using OpenAI, it can digest it, look for it, and also use that information whenever we make a request. Okay. So here, the trigger that I'm using, AKA the party starter, is a form submission. The form, once the form is submitted, it's going to go to the Pinecone vector store. Here you see I have my embeddings as well. So and this information is pretty much the same as the information that I have in my legal assistant agent as well. But here I'm building it out so that it can call it as a reference. The legal assistant agent can call it as a reference whenever I ask information about a case. Okay. Same information. The credential is Pinecone. The operation mode is insert documents, because I am uploading documents, and they are going to go to my ABC RAG agent, which just again, for reference, is here in Pinecone. It is an index. Okay, and so for my embeddings, I am using um oh, it says it's loading options. I am using OpenAI 3. Okay, and you see the this information, and this is an example that I used uh, in testing it here, and it's actually this it's this document that I have right here. Okay, and you see all of these, the responses. This is basically how it is entered into the Pinecone index, and the model that I'm using is text embedding 3 small, and that's the same thing that I'm using here in Pinecone as well, text embedding 3 small. One thing that I do want to mention is that whatever you make your index in Pinecone for your embedding model, make sure it is the same when you are in N8N and you are creating, building your RAG agent as well. Okay, so for the data loader, so once the data information is entered in, it's asking, okay, what type of data we're going to use. We are using binary data, and it's saying load all input data. That's the mode. And the data format, automatic detect by MIME type. Again, I'm just demonstrating and kind of going over this in a high level. I will do a deep dive when we create a more comprehensible built out RAG agent. Let's go back to our canvas. And the recursive character text splitter is asking like what chunk size. Our chunk size is 2000 and our chunk overlap is 200. So when the information is dispersed and we want to have relevant information, we want to make sure that there is some overlap whenever the information is entered in, just in case. It's kind of like reinforcement, but we don't want it to be all of the information. We just want it to be some overlap. And our chunk overlap is 200. Okay, so this is the knowledge base, and let me change it to legal knowledge base since that's what I have over there. What I'm going to do is I am going to upload a document. This is going to be the document best cases. It's about Dodge versus Ford company. Again, just some in sample information that I found on the internet to use in our example. Okay, so I have added, I clicked the on form submission, and this is the window that opened up. I chose the file I wanted, and it's best cases 19 7-26. This is the same thing. So this is the PDF that I am using. And what I'm going to do is, and you see it saying waiting for trigger event, I'm going to submit. And you see it went through the checks, and because we have all green check marks, no errors, that means everything was added fine. Okay, and here, let's look on the right-hand side for the output. You see best of case law, reading materials, the purpose of the corporation, and I just want to go to this document so that you can see that this is the same document. The purpose of the corporation, Dodge versus Ford Motor Company. Great. So this part of our sub agent is working. Now let's go back to our, let's save. Now let's go back to our legal assistant agent, and we are about to do a test. Now, one of the things that I want to mention, and I am going to test it out as well, when you are looking for information, and this is just my experience in doing the test, there's sometimes when I am asking for legal information, sometimes if it is found on the internet, the legal assistant agent will use the SERP API. But when I ask specific questions that I know are in the documentation, it will, and I have to be like very, something that's like very granular at times. And this is what I'm going to put as my example, because if not, what it'll do is it'll search out on the internet. Because I have that SERP API, this is how this is the tool that I use to search the internet. If that information is already out there, then that is what the agent will pull from. Even though I put, for legal case information, use our legal knowledge base, I have to ask for things specific, which I think is a good thing. It can be a good thing. One thing that I do want to mention, because in reading some legal articles and just keeping up to date with Gen AI in the legal industry, hallucinations, which means if the if you're using ChatGPT or you're using a large language model to get information, if it's not programmed correctly, the the chat GPT, what it'll do, or whatever large language model you're using, it'll just come up with information, because as opposed to saying, I'm not sure, I don't have the information. If it's not programmed correctly, it'll just come up with case law or anything else. And unfortunately, there are some attorneys who have ran into that situation where they've used that data and it hasn't been true. So, again, when you're using any type of AI, which is great, it is such a benefit. And we're in the early years of being able to use it in the public. You always want to make sure that you fact check, especially if it's something that, is very important and essential. Just make sure it's the right information. All right. So here I'm going to, let me go in and I'm going to use this as an example because I think, oh no, this isn't the document. Let me see. Oh yeah. Okay. So this is the document that I'm using. Let me zoom in a little bit. And what I'm going to do is ask about this information. Okay. I'm going to say, what are some facts about the Rail versus Cadena case? So let me go back. Test workflow. You see, it went to the knowledge base. Great. Okay, let's look. Okay. So the Rail versus Cadena case documented as 93 endpoint M684. And if we look, that is correct. It tells the plaintiffs, the case background, it gives the legal issue, and the court's decision, the conclusion, and everything. The case underscores that under U.S. civil law, aiding or encouraging an illegal act verbally can result in liability, even if the person did not physically engage in the acts themselves. So let's look at the parties, Eddie Rail and the defendants. So yes, that is correct. And let me go back. I was trying to read the information. Here it is. Case background. Eddie Rail filed a lawsuit against the Cadenas for civil battery. It's telling where it happened, at Emilio's home, where Rail was attacked by Emilio. During the attack, Emilio verbally encouraged Emilio by shouting phrases like kill him and hit him more, but Emilio did not physically partake in the beating. Rail needed hospitalization due to the injuries sustained. So here is the information, and basically right on point. Okay. That is the power of having a RAG agent or RAG application. I'm calling it a knowledge base because that's easier to remember. Basically, it's like a knowledge base. And let me do one more for this one as well as a demonstration. Let's see. I want to try to get some specific information so that we can make sure that it is hitting our knowledge base, as opposed to using the using our API to search the internet. I'm going to say give a summary of this case. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it looks like now it didn't look like it went to our knowledge base. Let me see. It didn't look like it went to our knowledge base, but it didn't go to our SERP API as well. So what may have happened is that may be information that OpenAI already has, our large language model already has, and it's just pulling from that memory. So let's use this one. Let's use, give us a summary of this case. Let's see. Oh, y'all know what? It's pulling from, it's pulling from the memory. So the reason it isn't going to our legal knowledge base is because it's pulling from the memory. And let me give this example. Because when I first created the legal assistant agent and I added the memory, I can't remember what video that was, but one of the things that I talked about was I put in 20 so that our agent can remember past interactions. And that is why our model didn't use the knowledge base and it didn't go to look at the internet because it remembered that was something when I was doing my testing that I had already asked about. Okay, and that's why it didn't go to anything else. But you see, initially, this information was in there from when I used the legal knowledge base. And that is it for building our legal assistant agent, I think. I'm going to leave it kind of open because if I see something else that I think may be beneficial to add to the legal assistant agent, I may create another video. So I'm going to put like a question mark by it, but this I'm saying is the last video. For this legal assistant agent, we did some amazing things, and I do have a playlist and where you can watch all of the building and the demonstrations and the step-by-step of building this agent. We added Telegram as our means of communication, both audio and text, added a large language model, an LLM, which is ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT. We added a memory. We added memory to it, which we see does definitely work since it was able to draw upon information that I had already previously added to the chat. We added the ability, a tool where we are able to search the internet, a calculator, and the example we gave was being able to figure out the tip for a dinner. The hacker news is just news information that we have where we're looking for any type of AI news in the legal industry. We added a tool where we are able to search for tasks that we have. We have a Slack where we're able to send messages to either the main message board that we have in our team communications, and um, uh, you can specifically add someone so that they know that you are directly asking them a questions, but you're able to add Slack or any other type of team communication for any other channels as well. It's just in the example that I gave, it was to the main channel. We added an agent, a sub agent that is able to get our emails. We're able to send, update, search for emails. We have a contacts agent, a calendar agent, and finally, in air quotes, we have a legal knowledge base where we're able to add any information we believe that can be beneficial and helpful for our legal assistant agent to be able to ask questions or have the information readily, the answers readily that in any way we want to use our legal assistant agent. And one thing I will say is this is how I built the legal assistant agent, but if there's any other things you think could be added, or you can build it however you want, but it just is showing the power of being able to do great things with automation workflows and Gen AI agents. If you have any questions about AI agents, AI automations, N8N, I will have a link in the description box where you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation with me. I am Shay Jackson, your AI automation specialist. Have a wonderful day.